about these ballasts is you can wire it in a 120, which would be your furnace, or 240, which would be an air handler. In either case, you can tell that the amps that the unit is pulling is 0.4 or 0.2, so depending on how many lamps you have. So on Odyssey, it's very, very low amps. So today we're gonna see how to wire it into an air handler. In this case, we're gonna have a single breaker air handler. The top, where the screws are, is gonna be the high voltage coming from the house. The bottom, where the pins are, those basically will be going to the unit. I've disconnected the unit right now just for visual, just so we can see those pins a little bit better. So obviously, under normal circumstances, there will be wires both on top and both on the bottom. Now, depending on the size of the air handler, you're gonna have two breakers. You're gonna have your 60 amp breaker typically, plus a smaller one. The smaller one is only gonna be wired in to the smaller part of your heat strips, while the bigger one is gonna be energizing a board, if there's a board, as well as your heat strips and your blower. That's why the bigger one is the bigger one. So the UV light, as we said, pulls very, very few amps. So typically what I would like is I would put it on the second breaker, if the smaller one. In this case, we only have one, so we're gonna put it on this one. First things first, we wanna make sure that the breaker's off. And we also wanna make sure that the breaker's off on the main panel. We would take our meter leads, check the top, make sure there's no power, check our meter leads on the bottom, make sure there's no power. At this point, we can work nice and safe. The UV light itself is gonna have 3 wires. You're gonna have your black one, which is your hot, your white one, which is gonna be your neutral, and the green one, which is gonna be your ground. In this case, again, we have 2 choices. We can either put it on the top, which basically we would put it behind those screws, or on the bottom, we would apply 2 little clips on these 2. When I'm talking about clips, we mean something this right here. And then you can clip it in straight to the clips on the bottom. Now on an air handler, we are working with 240, so there will not be a neutral. That said, if we're gonna wire it on the bottom, just pick a side. So I'm gonna put the black one on the left, and then the white one is gonna go on the right. So it will look this. Or if I go on the top, it could look something like this. Now again, it makes no difference if I have my white one on the left and the black one on the right. I could switch those over. Since both legs at this point are going to be taking 120, which gives us our total of 240. Again, the ballast is going to do everything by itself. So just hook it up and you'll be good to go. Don't forget about your ground. Your ground is going to go to ground. And you have a good wiring. Make sure that everything is nice and tight. And at that point, you reestablish power on the big unit, meaning the power breakers, which are typically in the closet, or could be in the garage or outside the house. Then turn this one on and you're good to go.